Hello and welcome to round 8 of GPL. This is the WEC class, the top class of Super Formula Racing, and today we are here back in the USA at Daytona Road Course. And this is going to be a special race, a different format than we're used to. Normally we do the standard format where you do your 15-minute qualifying session to determine the grid order, but here we are going to do a reverse grid sprint race where the person who is in first place in the Drivers' Championship standings will start in last place. So that is whiteout. Whiteout today will be starting from last place, and the person who is last place in the standings will be starting from pole position. A few more things to note about this format and its differences. It's a short race. Being a sprint race, today it's only going to be 13 laps instead of the usual 30 to 50 or so. And so between just the reverse grid and the shorter distance, and of course the nature of the track itself, we're in for a chaotic race today. Last few rounds it has been good races for like strategy races, but we know what you guys all really want. You want that on-track action, you want to see battling, and hopefully this format is going to provide that for you viewers today. Welcome in Pixel in the chat. Watching from Japan today. Good to see you. And a couple other things that are different today. We have a few reserves coming in. And Illusion also in the chat watching from a different country than he normally is, from Italy today. Good to see Illusion. And Illusion, who you would expect to be in this race, is not in this race, as you could probably tell, being that he's in Italy, and he will be being replaced by Viper here. Now Viper, I haven't been able to see him race personally, but he is a known entity to a lot of these drivers here, as he formerly raced here in Season 3, and I think previous seasons as well, but definitely Season 3, and he is one of the faster guys as well, so he's going to be one to look out for. Good to see Sequema back on track as well. Sequema is making his return, having missed the last round. Always good to see the Team Mugen cars out here representing. And also, there's no qualifying for this session, as mentioned, because the grid order is set already. There's no need to do qualifying. And so these guys are actually just practicing right now. Normally, I start the broadcast up when we are starting qualifying. But these guys are just practicing at the moment, and we're going to jump straight into the race as soon as these guys are ready to go. Oh yeah, that would be great, Illusion. If you posted the IG thumbnail for me, that would be great. I was just about to take a moment here and spread around the link for the YouTube stream. We also got Jay Scholze in the chat. A lot of racers here today showing support for the top class. Nuco reminding our drivers today, no use of overtake before lap 3, otherwise that is a big penalty. And so there's a handful of reserves today, by the way, not just Viper. Viper being the most notable. But we also, actually both drivers for Team XO AMR have been replaced for this round. Declan is also coming in to replace Ghosted. And it looks like we're about to start the race here. Let's go up to P1, who is Artura filling in for Pixel, starting on pole position. So if you're here, make sure to like and subscribe. This is going to be a really good one. I can already see it. And the race has started. And we'll see what kind of action we get into turn 1 here. These guys are going to have to be careful, as it's a huge braking zone into turn 1. And we do have a live steward today, Ken Missouri, a fellow racer from the SWT class. So if there is too much commotion here into turn 1, we will get a red flag, potentially. I do see a couple of, lot of sparks happening back there. It did seem like there was some contact in the back. White at the very back of the field. Something must have happened I definitely saw contact. There's the red flag. Okay, so this race is going to be restarted. Wasn't exactly able to see exactly what it was that happened there, but you could definitely see a lot of smoke, a lot of sparks. There were some cars that were completely stopped on the road. And so everyone is going to be exiting the track now. And this is going to take just a couple of minutes while NUCO has to reset the grid order. So this will be just a couple of minutes to reset the grid order and try that again. Yeah, turn one is going to be crazy on this track, and the lag, of course, is always an issue. So everyone's going to have to be extra careful into turn one. And hopefully from our steward, Kem is not afraid to throw multiple red flags. Usually we only have one, but yeah, we might have to see more than one here. You never know. Oh yes, and a good reminder from NUCO telling his drivers here to make sure they remember to set up the car, because BOP is on, which stands for balance of power, those not familiar. So it resets everyone's tunes to completely stock after a session resets. So that means each of these drivers have to go back into their car settings and set their car back up before the race starts. So hopefully nobody forgets to do that. Otherwise, they will be slower. All of these drivers here are giving the R, indicating they are ready to go, ready to race again. Yep. King No Skill in the chat asking, reverse grid? Yes, we are doing a reverse grid based on the Drivers' Championship standings. Now that was a chaotic race start, a very impressive, entertaining start, I should say. Maybe not impressive, but very entertaining. Big moves were happening all up and down the grid. All right, the grid has been reset for our second start here. We're returning back to Artura on pole position, and we'll see what he can do here, how long he can keep that P1 position. And also Whiteout in the very back, another driver to look for to see what kind of movements he has here on lap one. Artura looking like he has a better launch this time around. It's still neck and neck going into turn one. 3 wide into turn one. It looks like 4 wide behind them. Very nice from everyone involved. It looks like a clean turn one. Something must have happened there in the back. Okay, well, big ass lag in the back, I should say. It looked like contact, but likely just very large lag. And Artura still in P1. A much better start this time around. He is probably very thankful for that red flag, as he is in P1 and he's got a little gap going now. And Whiteout already into P3. Something must, I don't know what happened. Like, he did something crazy. And he's already into P2. We've just gotten into the oval on the lap 1, and he is already in P2. Whiteout truly a force to be reckoned with, and he looks unstoppable. We thought that maybe a reverse grid, him starting from the very back with a reduced race distance, would be perhaps the only way we could really prevent him from winning a race, but it looks like there's nothing that can stop this man today, as he is already up here. Sequema taking the place back, though. Sequema not looking to let that go laying down, as P1 and P2 are wheel to wheel, and Whiteout looking to pick up the pieces. This is a 3-car battle for the lead right now. Big sparks all over this oval right now as these cars run very, very low to the ground. A little bit of contact into turn one between P2 and P3 there as Whiteout gets takes advantage of that and just slips ahead. A through goes Hamilton moment, truly, as he takes advantage of a scrap between two other fighting cars. And now he is in P1 and with a big gap. And I don't think, based on Whiteout's pace all season long, that he's going to be giving this up for the rest of the race. And as we see, Whiteout's reserve teammate for today, a brand new driver making their debut, Nova Fast Fode, and doing a great job maintaining P3 right now, actually passing our former leader there, Artura, who is now wheel-to-wheel with Viper, also making his debut today in a alt livery for EXO AMR. Viper slipping ahead into the chicane, a very dangerous place to get that done, but with all the confidence and grip that he needed to do it, he got the job done there. And now Artura under endless pressure from extremely fast drivers. We got D-Goats and Nuco right behind him. Sparks going absolutely everywhere. Whoa, and what happened there? We had must have been a penalty being served for Sequema as he was crawling on the straight there. I believe that's probably a penalty being served. Nothing else would really explain that. So we'll see action all over the grid right now. Cars very close to each other. Gonna take a look and see what the order in the back is. We got Anthony, very laggy, but seeming to just hold on to the group. He has not fallen off of the pack necessarily. He's staying in it. We got Boyta just in front of him, a very fast driver in his own right. 2 consecutive P4s in the last 2 rounds. He's been on fire. And we got Declan here, who's also filling in for EXO AMR in his debut here in GPL, getting a little squirrely at the end of that exit there, but he manages to hold on into the oval. That might have cost him a bit of exit speed there, which is crucial into the oval, especially when you got some fast cars behind. Now just checking out what's going on up ahead here. We got Viper into P2. Viper doing a great job, with a huge gap between him and P1. It is only 2 seconds, but that is a huge gap for these guys. But it looks like Viper actually having the pace at the moment as that gap is slowly coming down. Must have had a really good exit speed. And that gap is just slowly coming down with this oval. We'll see who has the pace into the infield part of the circuit, though. A very good turn 1 there. Quick rotation there from Viper. We got D-Goats already up into P3, passing Nova Fast Fode, and we got Nuco right behind. Doing a great job here. Everyone honestly doing a really good job. Not getting into too much trouble, as is likely the case when you have a reverse grid like this. So everyone doing a great job not to have too much contact with these battles here, as we knew that the grid order was going to change up quite a lot today. And also 13 laps, a very short race distance, so there's not going to be any strategy at play today. Today is going to be a straight-up motor race, and these guys' tires and fuel loads should be able to last the entire race distance pretty easily here. The race settings today are actually going to be the exact same as the lower class, where normally these guys have a bit less tire wear than the lower class because their race distances are longer. But this round it's the exact same, and I can tell you from having ran this race last week with these exact settings that the tires are not going to be a factor at all. The tires, when they cross the line, my tires at least were about 50% worn by the time I crossed the line, so these guys are going to have plenty of grip to just push every single lap. They're not really going to have to manage anything about the car. The car doesn't evolve too much over the race distance either, so just straight up racing is all we're here to look for today. And checking the gap here from P1 to P2, it actually looks like Viper is the man with the pace on track right now, as he also has the fastest lap and is using a bit of his overtake to try to close that gap down even more. up to whiteout. And to see whiteout looking comfortable in P1 nonetheless, with that gap coming down because he is not using any of his overtake. Okay, as I say that, he used a tiny bit of overtake. Whiteout and Spectre Acura Racing today also using an alternate livery. There's a few teams on the grid with alt liveries, looking very good indeed. I love that livery in white. It looks very good. And of course, this livery as well. Shout out to me. I gotta say, because I designed this one last second here for these guys. Kind of proud of how it turned out. I think it looks good. Whiteout designed his own livery here too, and I've always been a fan of this livery that Whiteout makes. He's a really good livery designer as well. And this gap is really coming down now. We're under a second as these guys are really maximizing every little inch of the track. Of course, I say every inch of the track as we are here in Daytona. And Viper seems to be right about in slipstream range now. We'll see if he can keep in this range at the exit of this corner as we enter the oval. And he's on the overtake. Whiteout not on the overtake as of now. It seems like it's maybe just outside of slipstream. Or if you're in the slipstream, it'll be a very weak slipstream effect. Into the chicane now, extremely high speed, very risky. You're at the very limit if you take that flat out, at the very limited grip. And now we are absolutely in the slipstream, making a move to the inside, going to the bottom. Whiteout slipping into his slipstream now. And Viper on the overtake, wanting to create a bit of a gap, does not want Whiteout to take this right back, which, of course, overtaking on an oval always leads to setting up the guy you just passed to get it right back, but he had just enough time, holds P1 into turn 1, and now he'll have an advantage for the rest of this little sector here. But there are overtaking opportunities at a lot of these corners here. This corner right here is one, and there's maybe two more before we get back to the oval. But I think that Whiteout is probably just going to want to stay close enough so that by the time they get to the oval, he can set up that pass there instead, as it will be a lot more of an efficient pass to do so on the oval than it will to try to scrap it out here and maybe lose some race pace. These guys are very smart racers. They know how to when to battle, when not to battle, so as to not compromise their overall race pace. And display right now, they're doing a very good job. Whiteout on the chase, not really using any of his overtake. Of course, once again, as soon as I say that, he touches his overtake, but he's doing a great job to manage that overtake and instead just use the slipstream of Viper instead of overtake, trying to save as much of it as he possibly can for when he needs it the most. And yeah, just very, very smart use of the overtake there from both drivers here. He is close enough in the slipstream. Looks like he wants to make a move here, closing in quickly, making a move around the outside. They are wheel to wheel as we are getting to the end of the oval. So turn 1, very hard braking point. We'll see who gets it done here into turn 1. It looks like Viper just slipping in front of Whiteout's car, holds on to P1 into turn 1 here. And our view count is going up as this battle is going on. Intense battle. Whiteout taking a look to the outside, but there was no room there to make a switchback. To our viewers right now, if you're enjoying this, be sure to give a like and subscribe, as we're going to be doing this every week until the end of the season. This is what you come for. Intense racing for the first place. And yeah, if you're in the chat, make sure to go ahead and give us a shout as to who you're rooting for today. What team, what driver you guys are rooting for. We got D-Goats and P3 just being patient, doing his own thing, but D-Goats knowing what his job is, always a fast driver, about 2 seconds ahead of Nuco just behind him, who is carrying a penalty, unfortunately, so that's going to cost him big. Even just a half a second costs you huge here when you have to serve that penalty on the oval. And behind him, Sequema doing a great job. Excellent performance for Sequema. I believe this would be his best performance of the season so far. Let's just take a look at the back real quick. and see what's going on back here. We got Declan using a lot of his overtake. He's already over halfway done in his overtake as he is in P7. Unfortunately, Artura is back there in P9, not sure exactly what happened, maybe just falling back steadily. Not sure if something happened or what happened there, but oh, interesting. And I don't see Anthony here. I wonder if he disconnected. I must have missed something. The fight for P1 was so intense that you know, sometimes you gotta miss a little action in the back, but when it's for the lead, you gotta watch that. So something must have happened to okay, so Jay Scholze in the chat here filling us in that Anthony did disconnect from the race, unfortunately for him, because I know he would not have wanted to retire on his own. Now Viper doing a great job here in P1, kind of just holding that gap, which is very hard to do on an oval like this, but he is maintaining the gap going into the extremely fast bus stop chicane here. And that's where the mistakes are going to be made. Anyone that drops it all on their own makes a huge mistake. That's where it's going to happen, is in the bus stop chicane. So taking a look down the grid once again, we got Nuco here, and he's about to serve that penalty. So we'll just keep on Nuco here and see how much that affects him. Just a very slight deceleration, but he gets back on the overtake immediately to try to recover some of that pace that he just lost, and Sequema behind is closing that gap very quickly indeed now as a result, but not quick enough before we get back into the infield. Okay. Oh, we got some action there. We saw an overtake just for a moment as I was skipping around that looked like Flaring Aces made a move onto Declan into turn 1. Flaring Aces for Toyota with a very good move indeed. Artura and Boita here in the back of the field, but very fast drivers, of course, so they're not to be counted out, although the short race distance here is going to make them suffer as far as any kind of recovery drive, as they only have 3 laps left in this race. Now once again back into the front, we got Viper still P1 with Whiteout P2 and chasing about the same gap as before. And these top 3 guys, I mean, D-Goat's a little bit farther away than those two, but still, these top 3 are in a race of their own, as behind D-Goat's, there's a pretty sizable gap behind him. These top 3 guys are really running their own race at the moment. And if we take a look at the tire wear patterns here, we can see that Viper's tire wear is severe compared to the rest of the field, Whiteout especially. What I'm noticing is that front and rear right side of his tires is wearing really unbalanced compared to other drivers like Whiteout here, whose tire wear is pretty balanced. Although, of course, like I said, with only a couple of laps left, that's not really going to play a big factor here, as despite the unbalanced tire wear from Viper, it's not going to be enough to really disturb his performance overall until the remainder of the race. We are getting a bit low on fuel now with these guys, but once again, I believe they should have enough to run the whole distance without issue, without management. And Whiteout using up all of his overtake now, trying to get something done, trying to close it up here. See, now it looks like Viper is the one with the overtake advantage. Neither of them have a whole lot, but Viper having a bit more, just under a quarter tank of his overtake. And D-Goat's at about the same level of overtake as well. And these top 3 here are increasing their lead to the rest of the field. Viper's gap now up to a second. He has increased that gap by a half a second in this infield on this lap. Whoa, Whiteout with a bit of a slide back there. Seems like he might be pushing a little too hard as he tries to close this up and just manages to lose out a bit. Creates a big enough gap to where I don't think he's going to get any benefit from the slipstream now. And with only one lap remaining, he might have just sealed the deal on this race. Barring, of course, a last-second mistake from Viper, but I think that slip is all it takes for you to put yourself out of this race when these guys are this fast. As the car just sways really hard, you could see it was under full lateral load there, with the tires just barely holding on. They are at the very limit here. And D-Goat's actually now closing in and using up his overtake right at the right time here, seeing if he can do a surprise last-minute move to take P2 at the end of the race. And just before... Okay, actually, I'm going to wait here and see if we get a move here into turn one. It would be quite the lunge, and no, he doesn't go for it. It would have been a ridiculous lunge had he gone for that, but it seemed like there might have been an opening, but very smart to just stay there, I believe. Yeah, Viper up there looking just out of range now, but D-Goat's looking for that P2 spot for this race. I'm going to take a quick look down the field just to see if we got anything interesting before returning back to our leaders. I know everyone else in the field looks to be pretty spread out, running their own race at this point. And Viper on his debut, returning to the GPL League after a season away, returning with style in P1. Okay, and we are under a second here into the chicane, the final real move here. And it looks like he's just too far away, so we'll return to Viper here as he is going to cross the line in P1 on his return. Very, very little fuel left, but he gets it done. Oh, I missed it. It looks like D-Goats actually got P2 off the line right at the last second, and I missed it. My bad, people, but my goodness. Yeah, just based on the gap coming out of that bus stop, I didn't think D-Goats had the room to make it to get the move done, but my goodness. Those of you who have a replay of this race available to you, you might want to run that back and take a look at that. I missed it on my screen, but it looks like the gap here, 0.08, only 0.08 of a second separated these two as they crossed the line. D-Goats with an insane finish. Come across the line into P2. That is wonderful. This is what you guys came here for. So make sure you subscribe if you're watching this right now. Subscribe to this channel. You're going to want to return here next week and the week after. We're going to be doing some racing like this until the rest of the season. What an excellent performance from Viper. What an incredible performance, too. It has to be said for Whiteout. Going from the very, very last position on the grid all the way up to, what was it, like P2, halfway through lap one, just absolutely insane. I wish I could see that. Also, if you have access to this replay, you might want to go back and see what the hell it was that Whiteout did on lap one to get that done. Boyta not enjoying the track today, I have to agree. I didn't enjoy the track either myself when I was racing on it, but to spectate is a whole nother thing. Spectating was amazing today. But yeah, it's a grueling track to race on in these Super Formula cars especially. I don't believe that this track was really made with those in mind, but my goodness, it made for some excellent racing today. And so let me pull up your results for the race today. Okay, and just going through the order real quick. P1, your winner today, Viper for XO AMR, and he also is going to take that extra point for the fastest lap of the race with a 1:27.27. Whoa, 1:27.277. Very good numbers there. P2, D Goats, with an incredible photo finish across the line to take that off a whiteout just at the very last second there. And rounding off your podium is Whiteout himself, your championship leader, doing an excellent job today. Just managing not to win, but my goodness, what an excellent performance. Nonetheless, at another home race for him here at Daytona. And then the remainder of your results will be P4, Nuco, P5, Sequema, P6, Nova Fast Food, P7, Flaring Aces, P8 is Artura, P9 is Declan, P10 is Boita, and unfortunately P11, a DNF from a DC, would be Anthony from High Caliber. That was your race today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, feel free to like and subscribe here today, as we're going to return here next week for the SWT class at Maggiore, an Italian track back to a purpose-built circuit, full race distance with qualifying and everything, with a very, very tight championship battle on the line too. So you guys are going to want to tune into that. Also, our Instagram, the league Instagram, is at Grand Prestige League. So go give that a follow so that you're up to date on the standings and how this championship is unfolding, because we're getting near the end of the season, and this championship battle is extremely close, especially in the constructors in both classes. So a lot to play for and a lot to watch. And we will see you guys next week.